Hey, welcome back to Club to Contracts. Today is a topic. I'm sorry. He's moving a lot. He's ready to get out. And I'm also ready for him to get out. But anyway, today we are talking about mom guilt. Hey, I'm Victoria, your host for Club to Contracts, where we talk about motherhood, getting out of the nightlife, being a boss bitch, and building a career with badass women all around you. This podcast is brought to you by QNA Network. So today we're talking about something that every mom feels, but nobody really talks about, especially while chasing your dreams. But whenever I tell you, I have literally felt it in every job. At working at a pharmacy, I felt it working at the bar, felt it working at the nightlife scene. I've felt it working in real estate, and I've honestly felt it already doing the podcast. It's mom guilt, and it's a beast to get through, but I feel like if we all know that we're all feeling it, it will definitely help. So what I praise with real estate, and honestly, I think it could tie into the podcast. Truthfully, those only two things. I don't have to miss a super big amount of events. For the most part, I'm there to drop my son off at school, pick him up from school, be at, stuff for his church, be at his baseball games or whatever things that he has on. I can typically always rearrange my schedule, but then there's always, well, not always, there's sometimes that, that thing that you have to miss because you have, whether it's a needy client or you have a client that's, on a tight schedule that needs to get in immediately or needs to have an inspection done or what have you. And then you'll have to miss it. And that sucks. And it makes you feel like a failure, whether you've made it to 100 games and you miss one, or whether you've been there to pick them up every day except for one day that week. It really does start to eat away at you. But I think all moms can resonate. And I think that's why that's so important to talk about. So we're going to go back to 2017. Baby Tori just had her baby, sweet Kai Bear. And once I was done, really taking that maternity leave, if you want to call it that. Literally I was 20 years old. I didn't have a job. But that maternity leave that I took, I ended up getting a job at a pharmacy, which was Monday through Friday. And that sucked. So Kai constantly was at the sitter, and whenever they're newborns, especially with a new mom, I was constantly worried if he had a sniffly nose, if he had anything. I was running to take off work because I'm bringing him to Children's Hospital in New Orleans. What are you talking about? Absolutely not. I need my baby to be healthy. So thankfully, my boss did give me off, at a moment's notice if I needed to go bring him in. But honestly, I didn't care. I was 20 and this is my first baby. I'll quit, didn't really care. I didn't have a dream of working at the pharmacy. Well, a couple months go by. I started noticing my hours were getting cut. Long story short, I quit the pharmacy. And totally off topic, but they ended up getting raided by the FBI. That's tea. But anyway, so then in the same town that I was in, and also I'm doing this all with my family is over an hour away. So I couldn't really just call anybody to help, really. Thank God my child's family that was there was super helpful. But it just, normally it's a mom's job. So yeah, lucky me. Then I got introduced to my first bar job. And it's not open anymore, so I'll just say it. It's the South End Zone. And I'm so grateful to the owner and, the people that did train me because I don't think I would have gotten into real estate. I don't know. I believe that everything aligns the way it's supposed to. And everything is a stepping stone getting you to where you're supposed to be. So thankful for that job. But so I get the job in around March 2017, but it's 12-hour shifts. Yeah. So being a new mom, 12-hour shifts, little baby at home, not much family, it became, I don't know, it was the full day. I couldn't do anything. And sometimes I could get off, but really mostly your shifts are your shifts. I can't remember exactly what my shifts were, but I know we would alternate weekends. And so that meant Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So literally all 3 days gone every other weekend. It was, I don't know how I did it. Honestly, thank God I didn't have a child playing baseball and stuff because that would have not flied. flu. I don't know. But anyway, so went into that. I had immense mom guilt because I felt like I was missing so much of his, like his newborn stages, his infant stages. It was so sad. I felt like I was going to miss his first steps, but I had to do what I had to do. Like I wasn't a single mom in the sense of I didn't have anybody on like his other side, but I was having to look out for myself and look out for him from my side, my interests. My family, like I said, was over an hour away, and I didn't really have much help from my side or for me. And that was, I don't know how I did that. Honestly, looking back at it now, maybe I'm just old, but I mean, hey, go 20-year-old Tori, right? But it was hard to constantly leave him with the sitter and then not be able to pick him up until late at night. Or the sitter would sometimes come to my house and watch him there, or like half day at their house, half day there. So it was just, it was rough, but we did it. So on one hand, you can be sad that you miss so much, but on the other hand, like I was doing everything that I needed to survive and for my child to survive and to have food on the table and to have lights on and to have whatever, you know. I was at that point the first time I'd ever been in like my own place, just me. And then I ended up bringing in a roommate, still to this day, best roommate ever, love her. But it was rough feeling really alone where I was at, like towards New Orleans, like, you know, an hour away from my family. I've said that like 3 times now, but it was rough and I had so much mom guilt, but I literally couldn't even think about it. I had to throw it to the back of my head because I didn't have another option, you know? And I feel like a lot of moms, especially young moms, you don't have an option. You just have to keep going. You have to keep doing it and just pray that your baby doesn't like remember his infant years as like the worst years of his life and that like mama wasn't there. Pray your baby doesn't forget you. I don't know. It's rough and you think the worst. And then I want to say, so that was 2017. Well, then in May of 2018, I started a job at the infant, like that started my nightlife career. So really mainly only, you know, weekends, but that meant every weekend, every single weekend. And I worked there up until we talked about in one of the earlier episodes, the shooting, which happened in April of 2024. So 2018 to April of 2024. That is a long time to give your weekends to one place and to not give them to your child. That was rough, but we did it. Now we're not doing that anymore. Never again. Now my weekends really consist of open houses, except for whenever I'm not 9 months pregnant, they'll consist of open houses. But yeah, for the most part, that's what they consist of now. So I'm on the other side of it, but I don't think people understand like while you're building it, especially while you're building a career, you should be doing an open house every weekend. I mean, I did not do that. Like I say, don't do as I say. Wait, no. Don't do as I do. No. I can't think of it. They always tell new agents, you know, you should be doing an open house every single weekend, you know, until you, for at least 6 months to a year to build up really like clientele, to build up confidence, to build up marketing, social media posts, you know, all that jazz. I didn't do that, but I'd probably be a lot further if I did. But anyway, I do plan on doing that whenever I get this baby boy out of me. But so then your weekends still belong to that. And driving there and preparing for it and being there for 2 hours. But I will say it's a lot better than not going to bed with your baby every night, like working the nightlife. That sucked. As I was leaving, my wife was like putting our son to bed. And especially once he got old enough to like understand it, he was like worried about mommy, you know, and I was worried. I'm gonna be on the roads late. What if something happens to me? What if, you know, something happens at the club? Like the worst that could happen did happen. So those thoughts are valid and my concern was very valid and so was his. And it's just, but you have to do it. Like there's no other option, especially for, you know, if you're a single mom with no help. Like thankfully, you know, like I said, my child has his other side of his family, but also to my amazing wife, I don't know how I would have done it. I would probably still have to bite the bullet. Probably a bad tagline. But I would have to bite the bullet and probably still work there. or work at some, like in some capacity of nightlife just to be able to get by, and or just to even have like more consistency. You know how I feel about that word with nightlife, but more of that in for me and my child. But thankfully I don't have to do that. But if you do, you're a badass and I commend you. And there is the other side of it. I feel like being a mom, the only part that really, really sucks is that whether you're doing too much or you're doing too little, people are still going to talk shit. So that's what sucks about society, but I digress. So people might even think that I'm crazy starting this podcast, having the busiest year in real estate yet. And like, what's going on with your kid? What are you going to do with the baby? Like, da 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 da. And, but if I was doing nothing, it would be, oh, her wife takes care of her. Her wife bought her that car. Like, lazy, da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, it's just constantly chirping, chirping, chirping. So it's hard to like not have mom guilt no matter where you're at. Like, I feel like even you can have mom guilt as a stay-at-home mom in the sense of you don't feel like you're showing up your best every single day for your children because you're just like exhausted, tired. You need to get out of the house. You need to talk to an adult. I've had those situations before whenever Kai was like really little and I had like my 3 days off, my 4 days off, and I felt like I can't even imagine doing it every single day, not getting out of the house, not talking to a human, not having a damn margarita. Like, I can't even imagine what a stay-at-home mom goes through. It's like a struggle regardless of how you cut it. I took the mom guilt that I had from working in nightlife and I pretty much, I didn't get rid of it. I moved it into a different like form, like a different type of matter, and I shifted it to real estate. But I'm using that as fuel to get to a point where I am financially free, time free, all the things to be able to give my child that I currently have, my future baby, and all future babies that I have, just, and my wife, because I want to take care of her too, to give us the best possible life to where I won't have to have guilt, where I can make money in my sleep, where I can, have investments make me money in my sleep, where I can just be present and be there and have people answer the phone for me. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to be able to put my phone down, go on vacation. Like, that's where the mom guilt is just being added. It's just added fuel. And I feel like if a lot of people can just take their guilt and throw it in the fire and just start processing it into more of a motivation, it can easily be flipped into a motivation. Like, you're going to have mom guilt for up to the next 2 years, but you're going to work your ass off to where that mom guilt is now fuel. And then you're never going to have it again. Like, that's such a vibe. Or in 2 years, it'll be this much less. Or, and then in 2 years from that, da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, for the most part, we're not going to be millionaires, billionaires within 2 years. But the stepping stones, like I've always talked about, is what is important. If at the end of the road of mom guilt, my children see, me super fulfilled, if they feel fulfilled, if their childhood, they can look back and smile like how I do with mine. Because my parents worked their ass off. My mom was a principal at, she was a teacher first, and then she was a principal. And so she was always working, whether it's grading papers or doing teacher reports or whatever they call them at home. I don't even know, but doing reports on the teachers while she was principal. Or my dad was either offshore in Africa working for Exxon, or he was at war. Like, there was like no in between. So my parents really, I can't even imagine the type of guilt that they probably carried for being gone so much. But I can look back on my childhood in my teenage years. Well, I was the menace for my teenage years, but I can look back on like my childhood. I had everything I could ever want, and I was happy and I was fulfilled, and we were a family. And that's what, if my children can feel even a fragment of what I feel looking back on mine versus them looking back on theirs, that's a success. And hopefully, even if you didn't have, a good childhood to kind of like model it after, I know that every mom that truly loves her children wants to give them a step better at the very least. So use your mom guilt as motivation to really ramp that shit up and give your children the life and the mom that they deserve. No matter how much I work, I'm not choosing work over my children. I'm choosing a better future for them, a better mother for them. Every day, it's another step to get to where I want to be. Honestly, whenever mom guilt starts creeping in, I go look at my Pinterest board because I do have a board. Like, I know this sounds crazy, but maybe it's not that crazy because I'm just a girl. But I have a Pinterest board of like what I want my life to look like the essence of it, like the house that I would love for us to be in. Um, and somehow it's always like in the Northeast, I feel like, but that's another story. Love that. But like the car I want to have, but not even just that. Like, it's not even like the most fancy stuff. It just looks like just like a retreat, like just like a happy place. Like it has, what clothes I want my children to wear, like the pictures, like the clothes I want to wear, because duh. Um, but I just look at this Pinterest board and it's like a prayer board basically. Like I want that to be my life, but how do I get there? I have to go to this event. I have to miss something for my child, but like just one this month, you know? And I just tell myself, you're a good mom. Like just in your head, like your mind over matter, you know? You really have to have a strong mindset to want to build a better life, even just for yourself, even if you're not a mom. So you have to like double that as a mom. I found it super helpful to use. I mean, I know this sounds like stupid. I used to love a handwritten planner, but the way my ADHD works is I cannot find that shit ever. So I just do it on my phone, on my calendar, and I will time block. Like if I'm like, oh, I'm free right now, but like I'm filling up quick, like for next week, I will time block family time, especially if my son's home and now with this little one. And if my wife's going to be home and off of work, like I will time block that out to have that for my family so that, and I will be very strict with that. Unless something absolutely dire happens and if it's quick, I mean, for the most part, yeah, real estate is dire, but we can probably move it a day or two up or whatever, for the most part, unless it's like super, it's like rare that you can't move that around. But anyway, I will time block it to spend time with my family. I know that sounds like so dystopian now that I'm saying it out loud, but if it gets the job done, if it gets you the time with your family with no work interference, that's fine. At dinner, turn my phone off, flip it over at the table, whatever I have to do to make it work. Because there are plenty of dinners where I like have to answer my phone. And so if there's like a moment of peace and there's nothing really on fire that I can sense, I mean, what's going to go, theoretically on fire at 7 p.m. Anyway, flip it over, don't touch it. I think it's important to have those boundaries, even though some things are inevitable, like I keep saying, but try to have some sense of boundary when it comes to balancing family and work. And also, mom guilt doesn't just come with work. It can come with, if you've been overworked or overmommed, overtouched. Oh my God, that the overstimulation. Sometimes it can come with you just resting, you just needing a damn hour or a day. I mean, depending on how much you work, honestly, just your mental health. You might need a day to just rest and relax. And that could be in your bed watching reruns of Gossip Girl, or that could be just literally sleeping the entire time. That also has some mom guilt attached to it. And your rest is more valuable than anything in this world. Your peace of mind, your mental health. So you can't go hustle or be the best mom that you can be if you are just like pouring from an empty cup. So that's another part of mom guilt that I don't think people like talk about. You have to do it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And especially if you have a partner, they better be understanding it. And you need to like get another partner. I don't know. They need to take the kids. You need to rest. Bottom line. Another thing that I do with my son is if I have a win in real estate, whether it's a small win or a big win. I mean, it could be as big as closing a huge deal or as small, which I don't think it's small, but you know what I mean? As small as getting a house under contract. I try to incorporate that celebration with our son. Um, you know, Used to be, let's go out to dinner and like mommy's gonna get a glass of champagne, but like obviously he can't, but let's get him a Shirley Temple, you know, something small like that, just because that makes them feel involved and it makes them feel like, it's not mommy's work, it's like our work, mommy's doing this for us, like I'm helping her. He'll come to showings with me, which makes me feel fun, and good. And I used to love going to work with my mom, so I hope that he can look back on these memories and think fondly of them, except for whenever the lockbox won't open. Like, that is the bane of my existence, but I digress. If you are feeling the tug of mom guilt, I do want you to know that you're not selfish. You are human, and you are doing amazing. It's hard. It's hard out here. So whatever you can do to get it by, I support. If it's not hurting you, if it's not hurting the children, if it's not hurting your family, go for it. It's rough. And if you do feel like you need to talk about it, I will always have my DMs open. And I'm so down to discuss truly, personally with any of you. Because we need truly that sense of community to make us just feel like we're not fucking crazy. The easiest way to keep up with all these episodes that are going to be coming out is subscribing on any major platform where you hear podcasts. But also, I have a Facebook at Club to Contracts, and the Instagram is at Club to Contracts Pods.